Was low. I don't want you to die there. It was said out loud, and the forest seemed to go even quieter, like the trees themselves were listening. Rex touched her hand. It was rough, strong, scared, but it didn't pull away. I didn't want you to die either, he said. Zara looked into his eyes for the first time. There was no aid, no anger, just truth. They didn't sleep. That night they sat by the small fire, shoulder to shoulder. Zara watched the stars, remembering the stories her mother once told her. Rex sat in silence, feeling something in his chest he hadn't felt in years. Peace, maybe, or the start of something dangerous, because now they weren't just fighting for survival. Now they were fighting for each other, and that made them both stronger and more vulnerable. High above the forest, a satellite camera zoomed in. The image showed two heat signatures, one human, one alien, sitting side by side inside a hidden control room on Earth. A man in a suit sipped his coffee and frowned. They're bonding, he said. Another officer replied, should we terminate? The man shook his head slowly. No, let's watch. This could be interesting. But down in the jungle, neither Rex nor Zur knew that their fight was far from over. And their hearts, now open, now connected, were the next targets in this war. The alliance that shook the galaxy. The sun rose red over the jungle. Its light touched the broken machines still lying near the fire. Their metal bodies had cooled, but their message had not. Zira stood at the edge of a cliff, watching the horizon. Wind moved through her long black hair. Her eyes were calm, but her hands were clenched beside her. Rex tightened the straps of his gear. He had a fresh bandage on his ribs. The cut still hurt, but his mind was somewhere else now. We can't stay hidden anymore, he said. Zara nodded. They will send more worse ones. She looked down at the jungle. Let them. Rex turned to her. Not this time. We don't wait, we move first. Her head tilted. What do you mean? We hit them hard, take out their command post. Zara looked at him for a long time. Why would a human betray his own? He stared into her eyes. Because my own betrayed me first. Flashback. Rex remembered the war on Delta 12. His squad had been ordered to protect civilians, but the orders changed. Burn it all. The general said no survivors. Rex refused, so they left him behind, shot him in the back, declared him dead, but he lived, and he never forgave them. Now in this jungle he had found something different, not peace, but a reason to fight again. Zira, she listened, as Rex explained the location of an outpost bunker just 50 km away. It was small but important, a relay station that sent signals to the entire region. If they took it, the whole system would go blind for hours. Plenty of time to disappear or to send a message. Zira grinned, showing sharp teeth. You want to make noise? Rex smiled back. No more running. They moved fast through rivers, over hills, through enemy sensors. Zira's strength cleared the path. Rex's mind kept them hidden. At night they slept in caves. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they sat in silence, but always they stayed close. The bond between them had become more than survival. It had become choice. On the fourth day they reached the outpost. A gray building stood between two cliffs, guarded by soldiers in black armor. Rex studied them from above with binoculars. Zara studied them with her eyes alone. How many? She asked. 15, maybe 20. She cracked her neck. That's enough. No, we do this smart. Rex said. No full assault, we split them. He pointed at a fuel line. You hit that, I hit the tower, then we meet in the center. Zara looked at him. And if I die? He paused. Then I finish it for both of us. She didn't argue. Instead she placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. You are strange, Rex Ward, but your heart is loud. He raised an eyebrow. Loud? She touched her chest. It speaks louder than your gun. Night fell, then explosions lit the sky. Zira slammed into the fuel tanks, sending fire rolling across the base. Screams echoed. Rex dropped into the comm tower, knocking out guards with precision and speed. A siren wailed. Spotlights flashed, but they were already moving. They were everywhere and nowhere. Zira tore through the main gate, smashing weapons and walls. Rex hacked into the system and sent a signal through the galaxy. Just one sentence. She is not the monster you are. Then he hit send. The message spread like Wildfire through underground networks, rebel channels, and hidden satellites end. Just like that, everything changed, but victory never comes without a price. As they made their escape, Rex paused. He turned and saw a red dot appear on Zara's chest. Sniper, too late. The shot fired. She stumbled back, blood dripping from her side. Rex screamed, "Zara!" He ran to her as bullets flew past. She dropped to her knees, still trying to fight. Rex pulled her behind cover, holding pressure to the wound. "Stay with me," he shouted. Her eyes fluttered. "Don't leave, please, not now." Zara looked at him and smiled. "You are my fight now." A rebel ship arrived, called by the message Rex had sent. They were unsure, afraid to even land near Zara, but Rex stood in front of her, gun raised. "She's not the enemy," he said. "She's the reason I still believe in something." They let them in. The doors closed, and as the ship rose into the sky, carrying both warrior and beast away, the galaxy watched across a dozen planets. People whispered the same thing: the human and the alien fight together now. Some were inspired, some were terrified, but all knew the galaxy had changed. High above, in a secret military station, General Mace stared at the screen. He saw Zira alive, he saw Rex protecting her, and he saw the message played back on loop: "She is not the monster you are." His face twisted in rage. He slammed a fist down. "Send everything we've got, because now it wasn't just war, it was personal." They called her monster, he called her home. The ship was quiet, too quiet. Zira lay on a metal bed inside the rebel medbay. Her chest rose and fell slowly. The wound from the sniper was deep, but she had survived. Her body was strong, but her heart, that was something else beside her. Rex sat in silence, watching over her. He hadn't moved for hours. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slooked. He just watched her breathe, because that was the only thing that mattered now. When Zara woke, the first thing she saw was him, his face, his eyes, the way his hand was holding hers. "You're still here," she whispered. Rex smiled. "Always." She looked away. "I thought I would die. I wouldn't let you." Zara blinked slowly. "Why?" He leaned closer. "Because you're not a weapon to me." She stared into his eyes. No one had ever said that to her, not in all her life, not even once. Later, when she could stand again, Rex took her to the window of the rebel ship outside. The stars moved like rivers of fire. Zira pressed her hand against the glass. "I've never seen them like this." Rex looked at her. "Maybe you were never free enough to notice." She turned. "What do you see when you look at them?" Rex replied, "Hope." Zira's voice was low. "I see ghosts, but their peace didn't last, because the enemy was coming. And they had already found a way inside." It happened fast, too fast. An explosion rocked the ship. Red lights flashed, sirens wailed. Rex pushed Zira behind it wall as enemy soldiers poured in through a breached airlock. "How did they find us?" someone shouted, but it didn't matter. The soldiers weren't here for the rebels, they were here for Rex and Zira. In the chaos, Rex turned to Zara. "You have to go," she growled. "Not without you." He looked into her eyes. "You have to live." Then he kissed her forehead, a quick press of his lips, warm, final, and then he shoved her into the escape pod and hit the launch. She screamed his name as the pod blasted away. She landed hard in a cold forest on a nearby moon, alone, bleeding, angry, and afraid for the first time in her life, not for herself, but for him. For days, she searched for signals. She tore through old bases, scared off bounty hunters, and followed whispers through dark places. The galaxy was already buzzing. The human warrior is dead. He was captured by Central Command. Hildy executed in front of every channel. Zara didn't eat, she didn't sleep, she didn't stop until one day she found an old man in a rebel outpost. He had one eye and a voice like gravel. He looked at her and said, "You looking for the human?" She nodded. "He's not dead," the man said, "but he will be." She grabbed his arm. "Where?" The man gave her a map, a location, a time. Rex was being held in a public fortress called the Black Circle, a place no one had ever escaped. Zara's claws clenched. "They will pay," she whispered. The night before the mission, Zara sat alone by a fire. She stared at her reflection in a piece of Metal, the face of a killer, the eyes of a weapon. She touched her chest where her heart beat steady now, and she remembered Rex's voice, "You're not a weapon to me." She moved at dawn like a shadow made of fury and fire. She stormed the black circle alone, no army, no backup, only her. The guards never stood a chance. She tore through walls, crushed guns, and ripped steel like it was paper. Her roars shook the halls inside a prison chamber. Rex lay tied to a chair, blood on his face, bruises on his ribs. His eyes were swollen but not broken. Then he heard it, boom, 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 the sound of footsteps. Heavy, angry, familiar. Then the door exploded open, and there she was, Zara. Eyes glowing, heart burning, hands trembling, not from fear but from rage. She ran to him, tore off the chains, and pulled him into her arms. "You came back," he said weakly. She held him tight. "You are my only home." They escaped together, side by side, running through gunfire and firestorms. By the time they reached the cliffs, a rebel ship was already waiting. Zara carried Rex up the ramp. The pilot stared at her in awe. "You're the monster." Zara stopped. "No." Rex said, his voice weak but firm. "She is the reason I'm still alive. Back in space, safe once more." Rex held her hand as medics worked around him. "You broke into the black circle," he said. She nodded. He chuckled. "You really are scary." She leaned closer. "I'm only scary to those who take what's mine." And that day, across the galaxy, people saw the footage. They watched her tear down walls for one man. They watched the beast save the hero, and they whispered. They called her monster, but he called her home. The day she trembled, and the galaxy bowed. The galaxy held its breath across hundreds of systems. News feeds buzzed, screens lit up. In bars, homes, ships, and stations, crowds gathered around projection walls. Children looked up, soldiers stood still. Everyone waited for the same thing. The War Tribunal. A message had gone out, a challenge from a human and an alien who had once been enemies. "We will speak for truth. If you silence us, let the stars see you for what you are." And now they had arrived. Rex Ward and Zira, no longer just Z-93, not a number, not a weapon, but something more. They stood at the edge of a floating platform above Earth's orbit. Thousands of warships floated around them. Cameras were locked on their faces. In front of them stood General Mace, dressed in white armor. His voice echoed in every corner of the galaxy. "These two," he said, pointing, "are traitors. One betrayed her kind with violence. The other betrayed his kind with weakness. Together they threatened order." Zara didn't flinch. Rex didn't blink. Mace turned to the crowd, to the cameras. "They will speak now, then justice will be served." He stepped back. The stage was theirs. Rex stepped forward, limping slightly, his wounds not yet fully healed. He spoke softly, but the sound carried across systems. "I was raised to believe all aliens were monsters. I was trained to kill them without questions. I followed orders. I thought that made me strong." He paused, looked at Zara. "But strength isn't in killing, it's in choosing not to." He turned to the camera. "They built her to be a monster, but she chose to be more, not because someone told her to, but because her heart remembered something they could never erase." Zara stepped beside him. Her massive body stood tall, shadows stretching long in the light. "My people are gone," she said. "My name was erased. My voice was silenced. They gave me a number, a cage pain." She pointed to General Mace. "He called me monster." Then she touched her own chest. "But this man beside me called me home." The crowd was quiet. Even the stars seemed still. Then came the voice of the galaxy, a million messages, a billion responses. People everywhere speaking with one voice. "Let them go, let them live. They are hope." But Mace wasn't done. He raised his hand. "Enough. You may win their hearts, but not mine." Fire the Nova cannon, a weapon charged above Earth, bright, deadly. Rex grabbed Zara's hand. They had no time, no escape. Zara turned to him. "Go, I can stop it." He shook his head. "I won't believe you." She looked deep into his eyes. "Then trust me." She stepped forward alone. Her skin glowed red, her muscles tensed. She let out a roar that shook every ship, and then she jumped toward the cannon, toward death, toward her past. But she didn't go to destroy it. She went to absorb it. Her Body engineered, twisted, tortured, was made for war, now it would be used for peace. The cannon fired, a stream of pure energy struck her, she screamed, not in pain, in power. She held the beam with her bare hands, it burned her armor, tore her skin, but she didn't stop. She used everything, every scar, every memory, every piece of love she had left, and she stopped it. The cannon died, smoke rose. Silence, then Zira fell. Rex ran to her as her body drifted through space. He pulled her into the ship, his hands shaking. She was alive, barely. Her skin was cracked, her eyes dim, but her lips moved. You see, she whispered, not a monster. He held her close. No, never. You're more human than anyone I've ever met. Days passed. Zira slept in recovery. Rex stayed beside her, and the galaxy changed. People no longer saw her as a weapon, they saw her as a savior. Statues were built, songs were written, children learned her name in school. Zora, the breaker of chains. One day, as sunlight touched her face, she opened her eyes. Rex was there, smiling. Welcome back, he said. She smiled weakly. Still here, always. She looked around. Is it over? No, he said, but now we fight on our terms. And as they stood on a new world side by side, two warriors who were once enemies, the galaxy remembered the day it bowed to something stronger than fear, love, the end. She whispered into the night, who are you, human? The scar behind her rate. Long ago, before the war, before the cages, before she was called a monster, Zara had a name no one remembers, and once she had a mother. She was born under a red moon in a quiet village on the planet Gender 7. Her people were strong, proud warriors by blood, but they also sang songs, built homes from stone, told stories around fire. Zara was just a girl when the sky turned black. She remembered it clearly. The air smelled of metal, the ground shook as ships fell from the clouds. The soldiers came not to talk, not to trade, but to take humans, not like Rex. These were soldiers with cold eyes and hot guns. They came for resources, not peace. Her village had something they wanted, energy crystals buried deep in the hills. Her father was the first to stand, he was the first to fall. Zara had screamed. Her mother wrapped her in her arms and whispered, don't cry, be fire, be strong. That was the last voice Zara ever heard in peace. They didn't kill her, no, they took her. They saw her potential. Her body was stronger than human children. Her bones were harder. Her blood regenerated fast, so they gave her a name. Z93 Z4 093 for the experiment number. She became a file in a folder, a number in a cold lab, a weapon on a leash. Years passed in darkness. They injected her with chemicals, forced her into pain. Machines made her fight other creatures until her claws dripped with blood. Each time she hesitated, they shocked her. Each time she cried, they laughed. She learned to stop feeling. She learned to stop hopping. One day, they showed her a video. Her village burned, her people gone, her mother unknown. They said, you have no past now, only orders. So she obeyed, planet after planet, battle after battle. Zero became a shadow of death. She crushed armies, shredded ships, ripped steel like paper, but deep inside something remained, a single whisper, a memory. Her mother's voice, don't cry, be fire, be strong. And now, years later, on a jumble world, she sat alone for the first time in her life. Her hands were not bloody, her enemies were not around her. Only one man hunted her now, but he didn't hurt her, he didn't mock her. He looked at her and saw something else. Something human. Zira stood in the night rain, her massive shoulders were wet, her eyes watching the dark trees, and for the first time in years she felt pain that wasn't physical, not from a weapon, not from a cage, but from inside, elsewhere. Rex sat by a fire reading her file. It was thin, too thin, most of it was blacked out, but he had seen enough to know she was made into a monster, not born one. He whispered to himself, they broke her soul and called it science. He looked up at the stars and thought of his own story, his own pain, his own loss. He remembered the day his brother died, killed by an alien soldier in front of him. He had hated aliens ever since, until now, for the first time, he felt something strange, not hate, not fear, but sorrow for her. The next day, their paths crossed again. Zara stood near a Waterfall, her back turned. Rex didn't raise his gun. He said, I know what they did to you. She didn't move. He took a slow step closer. I know the files they labs, the numbers, still nothing, he added, but I also know that you saved that animal 2 nights ago. You carried it out of the trap. Zara turned slowly. Her face was hard, but her eyes were tired. I was not always this, she said quietly. Rex nodded. I know. Then why do you hunt me? Because if I don't, they'll send someone who won't talk. Zara looked down. You think talking will save me? I don't know, Rex admitted, but it might save you from becoming what they want you to be. She stepped closer. Her shadow fell over him like a mountain, but he didn't move. Zara reached out and touched his chest with her clawed hand. Your heart beats steady, she said. You're not afraid. Rex said, I've already lost everything. What's left to fear? Zara whispered, losing yourself. They sat near the waterfall in silence. 2 enemies, 2 weapons, 2 broken souls. But in that silence something grew. Not trust, not yet, but a crack in the wall. And for people like them, a crack was everything. That night Rex wrote in his log, Z93 may be more than a weapon. She remembers. She feels. She speaks of pain. I believe she can change. Far away Zara sat under the stars and whispered to herself, I remember now. I had a name. Ambush on both hearts. The jungle didn't sleep that night. The wind moved through the trees like whispers. The animals hid in their burrows. The sky turned dark blue, then black like ink spreading across paper. Something was coming, something worse than beasts, worse than war, and neither Rex nor Zara knew that they were being hunted now. Rex sat quietly cleaning his knife beside a small fire. His back was against a large stone. His rifle lay close. His ears were sharp, listening for every sound across the clearing just beyond the firelight. Zara sat in silence. She hadn't spoken much since their last meeting, but she hadn't left either. That meant something. Not trust, not peace, but something. Rex looked at her through the flickering light. She sat with one leg crossed, her claws resting on her knees. Her glowing red eyes were softer now, less angry, but still guarded. Do you sleep? Rex asked. She didn't look at him. Rarely, she said. He nodded. Me neither. Zara's voice was quiet. Sleep brings back screams. Yeah, Rex said. Same for me. Above them in the high branches something watched. A creature. No, a machine moved without sound. Its skin blended with the leaves. Its eyes blinked blue. It was called a shade unit, sent by a secret military group programmed to terminate both targets, the alien and the traitor human. Below the fire crackled. Zara tilted her head. Her ears picked up a soft clicking sound, very faint, almost like metal joints. She stood fast. Something's near, she growled. Rex stood, 2 gun raised. What kind of something? Zara took a deep breath. Not beast, not man. It smells cold. Suddenly, a laser beam shot from the trees. Zara grabbed Rex and pushed him aside just in time. The fire exploded from the shadows. 3 shade units dropped down, silent and deadly. Each one stood 7 feet tall, long arms, no face, just red scanning lights. They moved like ghosts, but killed like monsters. Rex rolled behind a log, fired twice. Zara roared, slamming into one of them. Metal bent under her fists, but the machines didn't stop. One grabbed her by the neck, lifting her off the ground. The second one attacked Rex, claws flashing. Rex blocked with his knife, sliced one of its arms off, but took a deep cut to his side. Blood soaked his shirt. Zara, he shouted. She smashed her head into the machine, choking her, breaking its sensors. Then she leaped across the fire and crushed the one on Rex. They stood back to back, now fighting, bleeding, breathing hard. Enemies, once allies, now the last. Shade unit jumped from above. Zara caught it midair and ripped its chest open. Sparks flying everywhere, then silence. Only the wind, only the fire, only 2 warriors left standing. Rex sat down, holding his side. Zara crouched beside him, her massive hand moving to check his wound. He winced. You bleed too easily, she said. He laughed weakly. Yeah, I've been told. Zara ripped a strip from her own armor and tied it around his waist, pressing hard. He gasped in pain, then looked at her. You just saved my life. Twee didn't answer, but her hands trembled slightly. He noticed what's wrong, he asked. She pulled back, looked at her hands. I don't shake. Then why now? She didn't know her voice. No one could challenge her strength until a human made her flinch. The beast in chains until she broke them like glass. The military base was quiet. Too quiet, deep underground behind 10 steel doors and 2 laser fences. Something heavy was breathing. The sound echoed through the halls like thunder. Soldiers stood outside the chamber, holding rifles with shaking hands. One of them whispered, "She's awake again." Inside the room, the lights flickered. Red warning signs blinked on the walls. Subject Z93, do not eject, speak, do not enter either. She was a living weapon. 8 ft tall, skin like black armor, muscles stronger than titanium. Her glowing red eyes scanned every corner of her cage. Shackles made of reinforced steel held her arms and legs. Thick chains ran from the ceiling to the floor. For months she had stayed quiet. She watched, she waited. Today something was different. She tilted her head. Footsteps. A new human entered the viewing room above her behind a glass wall. His uniform was black. His face was cold. General Mace, he spoke into the mic. You've been very quiet. Z93, what are you thinking? She didn't answer. You were made to destroy, he continued, but now you sit like a pet. Still silence. He smirked. Don't worry, soon you'll be useful again. We're sending you to Sector 9, the rebels there need a message. Z93 lifted her head slightly, then she spoke. Her voice was deep and calm, but it made the glass shake. I am not your weapon. General Mace laughed. That's not your choice then. Without warning, the chain snapped. 1, 2, 3. Crash. The thick metal bindings, strong enough to hold tanks, twisted like paper. Sparks flew. Alarms blared. The soldiers screamed. She's breaking out. The final lock exploded off her arm and she stood. All 8 ft of her. Her body was covered in scars. Her fists were the size of helmets, and now they were free. The first soldier opened fire. Z93 didn't flinch. The bullets bounced off her skin. She moved like a storm, fast, heavy, unstoppable. She grabbed the metal door. Ripe. She tore it from its frame and threw it like a plate. It slammed into 3 soldiers, knocking them across the hall. The others tried to run. She didn't chase them. She walked calm, cold, deadly. Cameras followed her. The control room panicked. Lock Sector 3. Seal the blast doors. She's heading to the lift, but nothing stopped her. She crushed doors. She bent steel bars. No lock, no trap, no cage could hold her now. In the upper levels, a young officer ran to General Mace. Sir, she's heading up. We need backup. But Mace just stared at the screen. He watched her every move. Send him, he said. Who, sir? Commander Rex Ward. Everyone froze. Commander Ward was a legend. He had fought on 6 planets. He never lost. He hunted monsters, but no one had ever hunted her across the galaxy. Commander Rex Ward stood alone in a training room. He was tall, strong, but not like the alien. He had no armor, no claws, no glowing eyes, just a calm face and scars. He was told the mission in 1 sentence. She shredded steel like paper. Make her stop. He didn't ask how. He didn't ask why. He packed his gear and boarded the ship. Back at the base, alarms rang louder. Z93 stood on the surface, now her eyes looking at the stars above. She had tasted freedom. She wouldn't be caught again. She whispered to herself, let them come. But she didn't know that the man they were sending wasn't like the others. He wouldn't run, he wouldn't beg, and for the first time in her life, she would feel something stronger than rage. She would feel fear. Hunter's predator. He didn't run. The jungle was quiet, too quiet. Massive red trees towered into the orange sky. The ground was thick with mist. Every few minutes, strange animal calls echoed through the air, some soft, some terrifying, and deep within this alien forest, something moved, not fast, not loud, but with purpose. Commander Rex Ward. His boots made almost no sound. His eyes scanned everything, the treetops, the shadows, the patterns in the soil. He was hunting, but not just any target. He was hunting her. Zira, code name Z93, the one who ripped through titanium like Paper, the one who escaped a military base and left no bodies to count, no one else would take the job, no one else could, but Rex wasn't like other men. He didn't hunt for fun, he didn't hunt for glory, he hunted because he had lost everything once, and he promised himself never again. 10 hours earlier, his shuttle had landed in silence. He stepped onto the jumble floor alone, no team, no drones, no backup. The pilot stayed inside the ship, shaking in fear. Rex had looked up at the sky and said only one thing: let's finish this. Zira moved through the jungle too. She didn't hide, she didn't sneak, she walked like she owned the world. Birds flew away when she passed, small animals ran, trees bent under her strength when she pushed through them, but still something was wrong, she felt. Eyes, she was the predator, but today it felt like she was being watched. She stopped near a river, the water was red, filled with strange glowing fish. Her reflection showed her sharp jaw, battle scars, glowing red eyes, and something else. A tiny dart hit her shoulder, she growled and ripped it out. Her eyes scanned the trees, silence, then a net dropped from above, electric burning. She roared in rage and tore it apart. Her back hit a tree as she spun, looking for her attacker. Nothing, only mist, only quiet. Rex watched from above, hidden under thick leaves. His hands moved fast, quiet. He reloaded another dart. She had shrugged off the first one like nothing. Takes a lot more to slow her down. He thought he didn't want to kill her, not yet. He wanted to study her, learn her patterns, find her weakness if she had one. But more than that, he wanted to understand why she was different. The videos didn't show it, the reports didn't mention it, but when he watched her walk, when he saw her pause to look at the sky, or when she touched the tree bark like it meant something, he knew she wasn't just a beast, she was something more. Zira was angry now, not from pain, from confusion. The trap wasn't from her people, and it wasn't from the military. No, this was someone new, someone smart. She sniffed the air, she heard no footsteps, but she felt him watching, following, testing her. She didn't like it. She clenched her fists and whispered into the wind, "Come out." Rex heard her. He didn't move, he didn't answer. She repeated louder, "Come out." Suddenly she leaped into the trees straight at him. He rolled away just in time, landing hard on the ground. The branch exploded behind him. She landed in front of him like a meteor. For the first time they stood face to face. She was massive, her breath steamed in the cold air, her eyes glowed brighter than fire. And Rex, he didn't flinch. He looked up at her, calm. His hand hovered near his weapon, but he didn't draw it. Zara tilted her head. "You're not afraid?" Rex shook his head. "No." "Why?" He stared into her glowing eyes. "Because you're not a monster." Her eyes narrowed. He continued, "If you were, you'd have killed me already." She growled, "Maybe I will." He nodded. "Then do it." She raised her clawed hand, paused, lowered it. A strange silence passed between them, not tension, not peace, something in between. She looked at him carefully. "You hunt me not to kill." Rex replied, "No, I hunt you to stop the war." "What war?" "The one inside you." Zara stepped back slowly. She didn't understand. No one had ever said that to her before, not even her own people. She turned and disappeared into the mist, leaving Rex standing alone. He didn't chase her, he just whispered, "She's thinking." That's the first step. Back at the camp, Rex made a fire. He cleaned a wound on his leg, and he wrote one sentence in his mission log: Subject Z93 made eye contact, no aggression. Possible sentence confirmed. He paused before the next line: "I believe she doesn't want to kill anymore." Far away, Zira sat under a rock ledge. She touched the dart wound on her shoulder. She had fought machines, beasts, soldiers, monsters. But this human, he looked her in the eyes and didn't blink. He didn't fight with hate, he fought with purpose, and that scared her more than any weapon ever had.